Welcome to Waking the Kraken. I'm Wes Potts.
I'm Alex Kahneman.
And we've got news to start us off this week, right?
Oh, I got a little bit of news.
All right. I guess this week was 1 year from Charlottesville, North Carolina, the thing that happened with like the tearing down the Confederate statues.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And since then, there's been a lot of like talk about like what's going on. I mean, obviously, recently Alex Jones got taken off of YouTube and stuff like that, which is also another part of the news. But within all of that and stuff like that, like there's been a lot of like more focus on our businesses responsible for content that they have up on now, which I think has changed the world quite a bit.
It definitely has changed quite a bit. I actually kind of on a similar type of note. This is Nigeria, which was a like Childish Gambino tribute by the rapper Falls.
I saw that one.
Yeah, it was actually banned by the Nigerian government this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just for like I mean, I watched it because I remember like when they had all of these, like they had like This Is Korea and stuff like that. Like,
it's basically because he changed the lyrics to like reflect the state of how he saw the Nigerian culture to be, and the government thought they were really harsh.
Yeah.
And so they banned it in the country, which I thought was kind of radical.
That is radical.
Yeah, in a time whenever like media is being pushed all over the place like that, for a government to just like all of a sudden wipe something off.
Absolutely.
It's strange.
Let's see. Oh, I saw this week also that Great Britain put a new minister in their ministries and stuff like that. There's the Minister of Loneliness now, which is really controversial because it's the only country in the world that has a Minister of Loneliness.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, like, a lot of people say that's a very big job to have, and how are you supposed to, like, minister loneliness? But from what I was watching from this lady, she's gotten a council of, like, 12 different psychologists and other people that just go out and see the general mood of everyone and try to figure out ways of making people feel less lonely, which I think is a wonderful thing, because obviously you've got a very large baby boomers generation that are going on like some of them are getting into their septuagenarian years, like 70s and stuff, which is really where they start to isolate. And the other thing is, with like the internet and social media, there's a lot of people that feel really lonely out there too. I think it's a really interesting idea.
I think it's actually really like something that should be happening, because like we need, like I think the more we can have like organizations that are coming out to like basically make sure that people aren't lonely, or make sure that people are just overall in a better mood, that shows that, you know, like the government is like actually like caring about what's going on with the people it's taking care of, you know,
right,
and willing to listen to them. So, Germany officially ended a multiple-decade-old ban on Nazis in video games. Now, like, games like Wolfenstein don't have to be censored to be part of it, to be allowed in Germany now. So, have you
ever seen any, like, games that have been changed in that manner?
I have not actually seen the alterations myself.
I had one. So I guess it was for the PlayStation 2, and it was the Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings, if you ever heard of that. It was one of the Indiana Jones games, but I always thought it was really interesting because unlike American games where, like, you know, like Medal of Honor and stuff, where we see Nazi symbols and then they change them for Germany and you can see them on YouTube.
Yeah.
This one, they just kind of changed it for the whole world so they wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And so you had like the little banner, which was like the little red banner with the white dot in it, and then it just had an iron cross in it, which is the little black cross, instead of having a swastika, and that's how they got around everything.
Yeah, that's so weird. Like, it's so weird that we have to like, we had to like censor like things that have happened.
Sure. And my last actually thing goes along with the Nazis as well, kind of thing. Have you seen that Germany's Nazi hunters, like they have like they have a list of like people that are being processed still to this day for Nazi war crimes?
Really?
Do you want to know who the youngest war criminal is right now that's being charged?
Who?
91 years old.
That's the youngest?
91 is the youngest. 98, I think, is the oldest right now.
Huh.
So, and they're talking about how it's just a really hard process, because although the Third Reich was very meticulous at like putting down everything and saying where everyone was, the hard thing is now, like, since the 40s, everyone's like fled or hidden or gotten aliases.
Yeah.
And so now they have to rummage through everything, find out which people are still alive, and then process them.
Wow.
And they're only processing the most violent offenses.
Yeah.
Like, they're not processing people that were like a chef in like a concentration camp. They're processing people that went out and shot people, apparently.
Right.
That's how the German government is actually dictating this.
Man, that would be terrifying work to like just to slog through and have to like be a part of.
Can you imagine like the families. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
like, you know, that Papa was like, you know, he was like a German, like, and stuff like that. He's from German descent. You know, he's probably in the, because there's a very big distinction now in Germany between the like German army and the Nazi SS and stuff like that is where this kind of thing. And though some of them have war crimes and stuff like that, other ones like try to differentiate. So think about like your great grandpa for the longest time. You're like, okay, I know he fought for Germany in World War II, but he was just in the army. And then all of a sudden, one day, this one guy shows up and's like, your grandpa killed people in the SS and stuff. And you'd be like, how much shattering that had to be for like families as well.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. For my last one, I figured we could end on a good note. Disney kicked off production on a live-action Mulan film.
I heard about this.
And I think it's Lee Yafei is going to be the star who's going to play Mulan, and they actually kicked off the first day of production by releasing pictures of her like in costume.
Cool.
And she looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really excited to see that movie adapted.
Oh yeah,
because I think it'll actually be, I don't know, it'll translate into live action really well. Like, it's not got a ton of fantasy to me.
Yeah, there's like there's like Mushu the dragon, and then the little cricket, and then everything else is basically, and there's basically real people.
Yeah, it's just a lot of real people. Yeah. Her just being a real person. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's Kraken World news for you this week. So it's just like the old Warenberg.
Oh yeah, dude. So I saw A Quiet Place finally.
Yeah, what'd you think of it?
I was blown away by it.
Did it make you feel bad for eating? Did you eat popcorn? You ate popcorn, didn't you?
Yeah, I did eat popcorn.
I was in the theaters and like I felt bad for all the people that were eating popcorn. It was the worst.
Well,
like just
because it was so quiet.
Because it's so quiet and like, you know, that very first like big moment in and stuff like that, you're like, holy shit, and it's like 10 minutes in, and so like everyone else was like, I'm gonna eat popcorn through this, is just like not gonna eat it anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's definitely like a gummies like movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a lot of things that really impressed me, and like to start off, I mean, what was there, like maybe 5 minutes of actual dialogue?
Yeah,
it's like so small, and like and the act, and I mean, I don't know, just like I had John Krasinski blew my mind. I didn't even know.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and his wife, like Emily Blunt, did really well in it too.
Yeah, and they really sell it. And I thought the monster was super fucking cool. Like the fact that they just come out and show it too, like made it more. It's like, this is definitely a thriller, not a horror movie,
right?
You know? So it's like, it's really tense the whole time.
It reminded me a lot of Signs, like that kind of feel of Signs and stuff like that, where you get to see the monster, but you don't see him a terrible amount until like near the very like end kind of thing is when it's like starting to wreak havoc.
Dude, I had pretty much the exact same thought. I was like, it's kind of like Signs.
Yeah.
And there was even the moment there at the end, like whenever I had that thought, where like the monster's in the room with him, and I'm just like, oh, this is weird. This is just like Signs. And then the monster hears the TV and it just reaches over and smashes the TV, and I was just like, this is weird. Because like all I could think about was the kid like smacking the water on the TV.
Yeah.
With the bat.
Meryl Swing Away.
Yeah, right.
Joaquin Phoenix, baby. So, but yeah, no, I mean, there's that movie. I remember like seeing that and talking about it on here and stuff like that. I thought it was really great.
Yeah. So now we've both seen it. Now we can actually say we like that movie.
Mission accomplished. 2 thumbs up.
we finally achieved both of us seeing a movie.
Yeah.
Months apart.
So I recently have been watching the Hulu series Castle Rock. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
It's Stephen King. It's based off Stephen King characters. In fact, it takes place at Shawshank Prison, where the Shawshank Redemption happened, and stuff like that. And it still throws in a cast of characters which are really well developed, and it feels like every other thing that I've ever seen from Stephen King. My favorite thing though is one of the guys in it is Bill Skarsgård.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you remember, played It.
Pennywise. Yeah.
He played Pennywise in It. And like he is still creepy even without makeup. He's just a creepy fella.
Yeah, he is kind of creepy looking.
Like,
he can do that lip thing like just normal. That's just him.
It's his eyes. It's like this weird like with Bill Skarsgård at least, like because like Alexander Skarsgård played in True Blood and stuff like that, and like is the hunk, I swear, of the family. But like
that's funny.
Bill Skarsgård just has these like weird little puppy eyes. and then this like almost emotionless face after that. Like the only emotion that it looks like is he looks like he's really sad in his eyes, and then everything else is just stone cold. It makes him look like a psycho.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he has those kind of like I don't know, those like sunken, like popping out of the head kind of eyes that make him look
like
really
you want to
huge.
hold him, but you also think he's gonna stab you while you hold
dude.
him.
Dude, I totally get that. He's kind of like got like a Golem-esque looking thing going on.
But yeah, no, that show's been really good. It's on episode 5. It's got a large cast of characters from all different kinds of things. Like you'll notice people from Lost, you'll notice people from all kinds of things and stuff. Like it's really, really good.
You said it's on Hulu, right?
It's on Hulu right now, and it's a week-by-week episode that they're releasing on Hulu, which is unique for a streaming site because most of the time they just dump and go. But this one's being released every week.
Yeah, like our show.
Like our show, so I can keep you updated on this.
That's funny. So, we had the music listening party. I wanted to talk about it for a moment
absolutely.
because I thought it was kind of cool. So, we did this. I did this thing where I have we call it a music listening party, where I have a bunch of people over. Everybody brings a song that they want to show, and then we all listen to the songs and talk about it. And the idea is hopefully we get some new and cool music. And Wes came along, and I thought we could talk about some of the stuff that came up because we listened to some cool.
We did. We listened to some good jams.
So, before I even get to the list, was there any that you remember in particular?
What was the one that was shit? I can't remember what it was, but it was the one I think that Kaylee's sister mentioned. The one that had the heartbeat that showed up at the very end kind of feel. Mm-hmm. That one was really neat to me.
By Daughter.
Yeah, by Daughter. That one was super cool. I really liked that one. Okay. Just because it was so unexpected for me. Like, I was like, okay, this song is like... Because her explanation was, I like it because it's sad and I like sad music. And that makes sense to me because I also have an affinity for sad music.
I totally get
and
that.
so I was listening to it, I was like, okay, this is a typical sad song and stuff like that. And then that heartbeat just like 3/4 of the way in just started pumping.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, man, this is so cool.
Yeah, well, now for some reason I can't find the history feature on
your Spotify?
On my Spotify. But anyways,
we should have just made a playlist just to release it with this.
You know what? That's what we'll do. You know what? If all of this searching has been rectified, you'll look on this playlist of music, and it is music that we enjoy.
Yeah, we'll link it up in the blog this week. I'll get Alex to send me a link for it.
Yeah, because my phone is crapping out, and I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, this song I really liked because blah blah blah, and not be able to give you the right details. So yeah,
but Daughter was really good.
Daughter
that song
was
by
really
Daughter.
Good.
Make sure you look for that one on there. Mine, I know I picked mine because I'd already wrote a blog on That Life about it.
Oh yeah.
That was the one that I wrote about like Mad Villain and stuff like that, and I thought that one was an appropriate choice for me, but just because I had already written something about it, I was like, well, this is why this means something to me.
Yeah, and yeah, I always like listening to Doom anyway.
Yeah, Mad Villain, Mad Lib, like Quasimodo, all those things. They're great.
Yeah, dude.
I want to ask you, did you think, obviously you had your stuff playing because you kicked it off and ended it.
Yeah.
But I know for me, going to that party, I actually switched my song because of the mood.
Oh, yeah?
I actually had a different song planned initially when I came in, and then listened to what was being played and then switched my song appropriately. I had about 3 different songs in the cartridge just to make sure that I could fit the mood very well.
Dude, I actually, I had thought about, for sure, wanting to end it with the track Thanks for Listening by Chris Steele.
Right.
Because I had just recently heard that within the past week.
It was funny because I was just listening to Prairie Home Companion.
Oh, right. He's such a great host for that. He does such a good job. He really makes it back about music, because that's what the show originally was about.
Sure, yeah. I think and I kind of like listening to him. He did one this last week that I was listening to. It's probably not new, but it was one where he was making fun of Dave Matthews Band.
Oh,
they did a Dave Matthews song, and just him going hey ho hey
yeah, right.
It was great. It was spot on, just as a comedy kind of routine.
Dude, yeah, I love Chris Steele. If you don't know who Chris Steele is, you should go check him out, because he's an unfairly talented person.
Yeah, he won a Genius Grant.
Yeah, right. Just for
playing music.
Yeah, just for playing music. And the mandolin at that.
So if anyone tells you can't make any money off of playing music, just play music harder and you'll win a Genius Grant.
That's exactly how you do it. But yeah, but coming right up on it, honestly, I had been cleaning the house all day, leading up to everyone coming over, and I was listening to that XXX Tentacion album.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This Moonlight track is just really cool, so I'm just going to play this and start it off.
Yeah.
And I figured it was different from every other time I had done it.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, I'll just start it somewhere completely different, and we'll just go right off into hip-hop, which was totally new. I'd never had one that was
We
that much
had a very
hip-hop.
large selection of hip-hop that night.
Yeah.
Because it was like me, you, Austin, and girlfriend, I believe, all
Yeah.
did hip-hop tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the majority. And then, like, Kaylee, her sister, and Chloe, I think, were the only ones that didn't do hip-hop tracks.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Yeah.
and they still, all of them still kind of had a bit of it, like an R&B vibe to it, too.
You know, yeah, I mean, but that is the culture now. That's what
True.
I think's interesting. Like, what's popular right now is like R&B and hip hop, and like even like kind of like electronic dance music is going to more of like a hip hop R&B vibe.
I wondered, though, if part of, like what I just told you, where I was like, I switched my song up to fit the culture, if a lot of people had another song planned and then switched up. Sid had the most, like, classical piece.
Yeah, she definitely did.
So.
Yeah, which was nice. That Eric Whitaker piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Which I really liked as well.
it was a nice breakup.
So.
Like, it made it feel like we weren't just listening to just hip hop to finish off the
Right.
night, which was cool. Also, Tyler the Creator. I want to talk about him for a minute.
Sure, yeah.
Because he is getting more and more popular, and I feel like I see him more and more all over the place. And I think this last album, Flower Boy, for those of you who
I was to say, is it Flower Boy? Has he
Yeah.
released a new one?
Yeah, it's Flower Boy. And I think with that album and just with what he's doing now, I feel like he's doing something that no other rapper is really doing right now. And I think he's filling this really cool kind of creative void. And he actually just released this new video for one of the tracks for that "See You Again" song, the one that I always listen to with the girl singer, and like his music video was really cool. And so like he took the same approach to it as he does with his music, where he was like, instead of saying I just want to produce music and then listen to my friends sing, which was the goal of the album.
Right.
The music videos are I just want to direct music videos and put my friends in it.
Yeah.
And so like it has the same, I don't know, like he's just really expanding like his creative palette, and I feel like this album's like a really cool moment for him, where he's really going to start putting out some really crazy
Absolutely.
stuff.
Well, I kind of already liked what they did with Odd Future already, kind of thing, where I like the idea of communities of people that do things, all do them together, and you start to kind of like see them intertwine in everything, which is what I like about like what we do. Like,
yeah,
I mean, like,
absolutely.
We've had Ben on, who has another podcast. We've had Nate on before and stuff like that, who has another podcast.
Yeah.
And I like this idea, even for us, like having a community of people that do podcasts, like making these podcasts and like intertwining and kind of having a community that we all kind of feature each other on everything.
Dude, I totally agree, because it makes it feel like more of the content is cared about, and that like the people that that it's just bigger than just one show, you know?
Sure. Well, and I think I feel like a lot of times like it's one of those things that like it definitely, at least for me, because I've worked with Nate and Ben now, and I think for me at least it's great to have a community of people where like if I'm doing something on this show and I talk about it to Nate or I talk about it to Ben, they go, oh, that's a really clever idea. We're doing this on this show kind of thing too. And so you kind of get this like amalgamation of like where the best possible methods of things that are for particular things are going and stuff. And I like that.
Yeah.
I think like it's good to have people in the same trade to talk about things with.
Dude, that's definitely true, man. Because there's a lot of weird like things that, especially with like just doing the podcast, that like really the only people that I know for sure that I can talk about these kind of awkward moments with about, and they would understand, would be you and Kaylee right now.
Right, yeah.
And because we're the only ones that I podcast like one-on-one with.
Right.
And so like it's really nice having somebody around that understands what's going on, and
Which is also fun when we're all in the same party area together. Kind of like whenever we've had this collectives like where everyone's like, it's like me, you, Ben, like, and like Kaylee and Nate and stuff like that. We can all just kind of like say what's going on our things and stuff like that. It makes it really neat.
Yeah, and it's a type of outlet that you really don't have unless you've built the community around it.
Yeah, well, and Austin's doing stuff too. Like
Yeah.
he's about to like do his Dungeons and Dragons thing.
Yeah,
so
which is actually, I think he said hopefully within the next week or so we're gonna have an
Nice.
episode out. So
I'm excited to listen to them too.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's gonna be
Sam has been
Dungeons
telling me
Indeed.
all about them. So
oh, dude, Sam has made that podcast so good. Like, but basically, Jasek's character, Lance, is just a wrestler, and he's just a really good fighter, and he's a world-renowned champion wrestler.
Right.
And so he's the power dude, and then I'm an elf, and so like I'm just the dude who shoots things, and then Sam's the guy who makes sure we doesn't die, sure we don't die the whole time.
It's like the healer.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a healer.
Yeah, and so because we have him, we're actually staying alive, which is great. Because, man, we need it. Like, we basically have died between Jasek and I, like, well, mainly me, like 11 times.
Damn.
But Sam's always been there to keep me from, like, die,
yeah.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, it's a good time. So I'm really hoping that comes out, because that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think Ben was talking about how his should come out in the next few weeks, too, and stuff like that. So you'll have 2 Dungeons & Dragons style podcasts.
I know, right?
To listen to.
So many more.
Plus, Ben wants to know if you want to come on sometime, too.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course I'm going to be on there.
So.
I want to be on Dungeons & D. I mean, bad form. What am I even doing?
So you're on Dungeons.
I am on Dungeons and D. I want to be on the bad form because I want to do Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars is fun.
So bad. I want to be like Plo Koon. I can't remember whatever that species is.
So I went down the rabbit hole this week. Did I ever tell you about? Have you ever heard? It was like about 2008, 2009. I think someone on Reddit and 4chan were talking about the Final Fantasy VII house cult.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of this?
No, I've not heard of this.
So, in like 2003, 2004, this guy meets, and I'm just going to give you a brief run-up of what's going on, because this is a gigantic saga that has now just exploded, and I don't know, discretion warning, I don't know if this is actually a piece of folklore that the internet is developing, which in that case makes it amazing, or if this is actually a true thing that's going on with this one particular person, and that makes it terrifying. But either way, these sagas have become very, very interesting to me. So the first of the there's 3 different collectives of sagas in this now. Mm-hmm. The first one is called the Final Fantasy VII house. And it all involves around this one man's perspective at first.
Okay.
He goes, okay, so he's in college. He feels kind of like a loner. He gets on sites that are new, like Tumblr and stuff like that. I think there's another one called Hojo, which is hojo.com. Mm-hmm. And it was a place where people that were interested in fandom of Final Fantasy VII would go, and they would put up fan art, and they'd put up fan fictions, because fan fictions were starting to grow at that particular area early on the internet. Because if you give everyone the ability to write whatever they want on the internet, they're going to make characters that weren't supposed to fuck each other fuck.
Well, yeah, that's Rule 34, right?
Right, yeah. And so through this, he meets this community of people, right? And there's one girl named, I guess she would only go by Genova, and she has a group of friends that are really interested in Final Fantasy VII as well. So she's not too far away from this guy, so she's like, you should come up and visit us sometime on one of your breaks. So he does. He goes up and he visits, and I think he goes back and he kind of misses them, and so the next break he goes back up to them again, right?
Yeah.
He's hanging out with them. He thinks they're really cool. He thinks they're really nice. Genova's kind of weird in the fact that she's what's known as on the internet as a soulbounder.
Okay.
And a soulbounder is someone that believes that their body is inhabited by different souls.
Okay.
And in that particular manner, she also believes in the parallel universe theory, which is anything that you can possibly think of could possibly be real in another reality that's not our own, and it's just parallel to our own. Yeah. So these video game characters, like in Final Fantasy VII, have probably lived in some reality, and they've died, and now their souls inhabit her and every other person that she knows.
You know what? I have heard about this.
Right.
It took me some time to get to remember what you were talking about.
Right.
But
I'm pretty sure I had you watch a video
I'm pretty
on
sure
this
you did make me
particular
watch this.
One. Long story short, I guess what happens is this guy starts to like join this weird kind of kooky cult of this woman that's convincing everyone that there's certain things. And within that amount of time, I guess like he quits going to school, he starts working at a grocery store to provide the only amount of income that's coming into this house. So he's having to pay for everything. And she's doing all the typical things that a cult would do, which is like sleep deprivation and manipulation and all these other things, in order to make these people think that they're these characters from Final Fantasy VII that she's assigned them.
Right.
So she's starting to manipulate them emotionally and sexually and all these other things. And I'll post a link to a video that I watched on this also, because I read the entire account on a Facebook page a long time, or not on a Facebook page, but on a web page a long time ago. There's a video that's also called Down the Rabbit Hole that does really good at this. Anyway, after this particular situation, about 5 years down the road, another situation pops up, also involving soulbounding, also involving what sounds like another character from the Final Fantasy VII house, called the Sarah Saga. And it's about this one girl that moves into a house with 6 other people, and she's a little bit strange and peculiar, and she believes in soulbounding also. She also believes in Final Fantasy VII. And she starts to collectively make a group, like her own little cult.
Huh.
And she refuses to pay rent. She gets them tied up in a big legal draw kind of thing and stuff like that because there's squatters' rights and everything. And that's the Sarah Saga. And at that point, you think that this has all died out. But it hasn't.
There's another one?
There's another one. A new one. A new one that just came out this year.
I'm so excited. Why
and
haven't I heard about this
something
sooner?
Immaculately interesting that we've talked about on the show a lot.
What's that?
The new fandom is not around Final Fantasy VII now. The new fandom hovers around the Hannibal show.
The Hannibal show?
The show Hannibal. This woman allegedly, and I watched 20 videos of this for you this week. I watched 20 8 to 15 minute videos so that I could recount this story to all of you. It's called the Tattle-Crime Saga.
The Tattle-Crime?
The Tattle-Crime Saga. You remember Tattle-Crime from Hannibal? That was Freddie Lowndes' production, like her little tabloid paper.
Right.
So apparently this woman has gone underground. Genova from the Final Fantasy VII house has gone underground for probably 10 years, right? 2003, she goes underground. There's a few things that might be known about her, but no one really knows exactly where her actual location is.
Okay.
2013, Hannibal comes up. Hannibal pages start popping up everywhere on Tumblr. There's a Tumblr page called I Really Don't Think You're That Interesting, which is a Hannibal fan page. This one woman who runs her YouTube, I believe, is also called Freddie Lowndes.
Okay.
She starts talking to these people. What?
Yeah, she's really into it.
Yeah. She starts talking to people, and she's kind of into the fandom, but it's only for the first season, really.
Yeah.
But she meets these people, like this one girl named Jin, who she later believes is Genova from the Final Fantasy VII house.
Okay.
But anyway, they have a lot of similar credences. This woman starts going off canon from the script and stuff. And obviously it's fan fiction, so if you know anything about the Hannibal fan fiction, you know the Hannagram hashtag, which is the idea that Hannibal Lecter and Will Graham are romantically attached to each other because that's what fan fictions want.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So this woman believes herself, Jin believes herself to be Freddie Lowndes. She only refers to herself as Freddie. These people think that she's Freddie, not the real Freddie, but she believes that in her life, in another reality, this really happened, and also Freddie Lowndes is inside of her. She starts segmenting other people to be other things, such as Will Graham, such as Hannibal Lecter. They all seem to be, like, all the men in the show tend to be women in real life. But, like in the Final Fantasy VII house, she convinces them that they're actually men spiritually.
Okay.
And so when people say anything and stuff like that, she goes, no, they're men. And so she starts making these people believe that they're trans, even if they may not think they're trans or anything like that at the moment. But they start to get brainwashed. She starts to keep people up. She would call you at random moments in the night to make sure that you're up. They would go visit her. She wound up doing this whole elaborate ruse. She even wound up having people go to Comic-Cons for her with her Tattle-Crime.com thing so that she could have, like, Hugh Dacey or Mads Mikkelsen and stuff like that post a picture with her card to legitimize her website. It gets really insane. It goes down this rabbit hole. It's the strangest part of this saga that I've heard recently.
Internet fairy tale.
But what I'm saying to you now, Internet, is the one thing that we're going to try to catch this person and see if it's really just fantasy or not. In the conclusion, episode 21, Tattle-Crime exposed Freddie Lowndes. She mentions that Genova has probably gone underground again, but from what she's heard, the next fandom that she's going for is American Gods.
Okay.
So let's go find them.
Dude, we got to.
Let's just make a bunch of Splinter Cell American Gods fan pages and see if we can find this person.
She'll just pop up.
She'll just pop up, I hope.
Oh my gosh, it's like a fucking hunting net.
It's like a detective novel now.
Yeah, right.
But it's like every 5 years or so, like 3 to 5 years, there's another part of this saga that comes out, which also part of me doesn't want to quit just because I like reading it, and that's why I hope it's fiction. But I really don't think it is anymore.
Dude, it's like the freaking time cube thing.
Yeah.
I like things about time cube still happening and people talking about it because it's nonsense. But it's like an internet thing that's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the most epic piece of folklore that I've heard. It's almost as good as a novel. Like, I mean, think about it. It'd be like if Charlie Manson made the Manson family, had them do weird shit, then somehow slips underground and no one finds them, and then like every 5 years you hear about these other weird things that Charlie Manson's doing.
Yeah. It's kind of like how Michael Jackson just released a new track.
Right. But I will post the original Facebook page, or the original web page for the Final Fantasy VII house, which also has the Sarah saga on it. And then I will also post this other one for the Tattle-Crime.org, which is the website dedicated to finding out what happened to this woman and how they're connected and stuff like that. You got hours to deal with for a day and you don't know what to look into and you want to find something really interesting. Look into this because I think it's great to watch.
It sounds phenomenal.
It's amazing. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever.
Well, now that I know that the extent is as large as it is, and that it's as broad of got a broad scope of ridiculousness, I might have to do some more looking into this.
Yeah, no, it's especially seeing how like I could not feel more astonished whenever I heard that it was Hannibal at first, which is a show that I love and I've talked about a million times. I am not a fanable in that particular manner. I do not give a shit about any of your fan fictions. I only care about canon and what's in the books. Brian Fuller, I love you. I think the thing is, like, you did a wonderful job at this. Your fans are nuts.
Dude, yeah. Like, that's insane. Like,
and then on top of that, the next one that they predict is American Gods, which is another show and book that we've talked about on this that makes it amazing. Genova, if you're listening to this right now, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to destroy you.
Uh-oh. The gauntlet's been thrown down.
I feel like a regular Sherlock Holmes.
Regular.
Which means you're my Watson.
That means I'm Watson. Oh, but that means you have a drug problem, and I have to deal with that. And I am Jude Law now. I'm not disappointed at that.
That's not a bad thing to be disappointed in.
Yeah, or I'm Bilbo Baggins now.
True, you could be either one of those. I get to be either Benedict Cumberbatch or Robert Downey Jr.
That's, you know what, yeah.
There's really no bad angle for us.
There's no bad angle here.
So join us on our hunt.
On the hunt. Oh, speaking of hunts, Super Fight.
Super Fight.
We've skipped this for a while.
We've skipped this for so long.
And you know why? It's because no one's
ever voting on this. So what we're going to do
is we're just going to pick a winner.
Yeah.
And then we're going to pick another fighter. And we might even pick a whole group of fighters again.
What if we did a battle royale with this one where the one fighter has to go up against 3 fighters, and then we make those 3 fighters fight each other?
Yeah, I agree.
So we've got the evil rabbit, or the evil doll that's rabbit, and we've got a vegan that can control machines. I hate to say it, I think the evil doll's going to win again.
I do too.
Because that's just like a vegan that can operate
drive.
like a car.
Yeah. And the doll is evil. We've all seen Child's Play enough to know that if an evil doll is not stopped by much.
So I'll pick 1, you pick 2 people.
Okay.
So what do we get? What are our fighters?
Me.
Okay, so Alex Kahneman.
The Illuminati.
And a demon.
Ooh.
Are fighting an evil doll that's rabid. What are all of their attributes?
Okay. There's 3 of me.
There's 3 Alex Kahnemans. The Illuminati has a skunk on a stick. And the demon is armed with pepper spray.
I'm into it.
Me too. All right, guys. Do you think that this evil doll can fight the gamut of Alex Kahneman times 3, the Illuminati, and demons?
I don't know. It's a stinky stick and ghost pepper.
Ghost pepper spray. Like, that's got to be hard. But that
Yeah.
evil doll, who knows if she has real eyes? Like, what if she just has button eyes?
That's true, but I mean, it's a demon.
Alex,
so
you have to save everyone. There's 3 of you.
there is 3 of
One
me.
of you can sacrifice yourself, like in your D&D game, and the other 2 can just punch the doll.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen.
All right, join us next week on our wonderful episode of Super Fight.
Heck yeah! And thanks for joining us this week.
Yes, have a good one, guys.
Peace.
Okay, goodbye.